Have you ever wondered why one simple word can make someone smile for the rest of the day, while another word, spoken with the same voice, leaves absolutely no emotional impact? It isn't because of the word itself, it is because the human brain never listens only to language. It listens to meaning, emotion, intention, and safety all at once. Every conversation quietly answers one invisible question: how do you see me? That is why a nickname can become more powerful than a compliment, more memorable than an expensive gift, and sometimes even more intimate than saying, "I love you." The smallest names often carry the biggest emotions because they tell someone they occupy a unique place in your mind rather than just another place in your contact list. Psychology has shown again and again that people remember how they consistently felt around someone far longer than the exact words that were spoken, and a meaningful nickname becomes a shortcut to those emotions. It is never about sounding clever. It is about making someone feel seen without trying too hard. Most people make one critical mistake. They believe attraction is built through grand gestures, perfect messages, or dramatic declarations. In reality, emotional connection is usually built through tiny moments that repeat over time. A smile that appears without effort, a look that communicates understanding, a joke that only two people share, and sometimes a simple nickname that slowly becomes part of the relationship's emotional language. The right nickname says, "I noticed something special about you." The wrong nickname says, "I'm using the same words I use for everyone else." One creates closeness, the other creates distance. The difference seems invisible until you experience it yourself. Tonight, we're going to uncover why certain cute nicknames create warmth, trust, and emotional intimacy, while others fall completely flat. More importantly, you'll discover the psychology behind why these small words can quietly strengthen attraction when they feel authentic, personal, and respectful. Because in the end, people rarely fall in love with vocabulary. They fall in love with how someone consistently makes them feel. And sometimes that feeling begins with a single name spoken at exactly the right moment. Have you ever noticed that sometimes the smallest words leave the deepest emotional fingerprints? A person can hear dozens of compliments in a single week and forget almost all of them, yet remember one affectionate nickname for years. That isn't because the nickname was magical. It is because the human mind doesn't simply process language. It processes meaning, emotional safety, familiarity, and identity all at once. Every interaction quietly answers a question that most people never say out loud. How do you truly see me? When someone feels recognized as an individual instead of treated like everyone else, their brain begins attaching positive emotions to the relationship. This is why tiny habits often build stronger connections than dramatic gestures. Grand romantic moments are exciting, but they are rare. Daily emotional signals are what shape lasting attraction. A thoughtful nickname, used naturally and with genuine warmth, can become one of those signals because it communicates attention, comfort, and emotional closeness without needing a long speech. It tells someone they occupy a special place in your world, and that feeling is something every human being naturally values. The mistake many people make is believing that attraction grows through impressive performances. They search for perfect text messages, expensive gifts, or carefully rehearsed compliments while overlooking the quiet psychology of familiarity. Human beings develop trust through repetition, consistency, and emotional predictability. When someone consistently hears a nickname that feels personal, kind, and sincere, the mind slowly begins connecting that word with positive emotions experienced during the relationship. Over time, the nickname stops being just a word. It becomes an emotional shortcut. Hearing it instantly reminds the person of laughter, comfort, security, and shared memories. This process happens so gradually that most people never notice it taking place. Yet it becomes one of the invisible threads holding emotional intimacy together. The power is never in the vocabulary itself. It is in the feelings attached to it through repeated positive experiences. There is another psychological reason affectionate nicknames matter. Every person has different social identities. We are one version of ourselves at work, another around family, another among friends, and another in private moments with someone we deeply trust. A unique nickname quietly creates a private identity that belongs only within that relationship. It becomes something that separates ordinary conversations from emotionally meaningful ones. That exclusivity creates a sense of belonging, and belonging is one of the strongest emotional needs humans possess. When people feel they share something unique that others cannot easily imitate, the relationship often feels stronger and more valuable. It is never about sounding clever or overly romantic. It is about creating a shared emotional language that makes both people feel closer every time it is used. Of course, not every nickname has the same effect. A nickname that sounds forced, exaggerated, or uncomfortable can produce the exact opposite reaction. Emotional intelligence always matters more than creativity. The most meaningful nicknames are usually simple, effortless, and connected to genuine observations rather than artificial romance. They feel natural because they reflect something authentic about the person's personality, smile, kindness, confidence, humor, or energy. When a nickname grows organically from shared experiences, instead of being copied from movies or social media, it carries emotional weight because it represents a memory rather than an idea. That is why two people can use exactly the same word while producing completely different emotional results. One feels deeply personal, the other feels rehearsed. The difference is never the word itself. It is the intention behind it and the emotional history surrounding it. Psychology repeatedly reminds us that people remember emotions more vividly than conversations. Years later, someone may not remember every compliment they received, but they often remember how a certain person consistently made them feel. A warm smile paired with a familiar nickname can create a feeling of comfort that becomes associated with the relationship itself. Eventually, hearing that name is enough to trigger positive emotions even before another word is spoken. This is known as emotional association, and it plays an enormous role in how relationships develop over time. Our brains naturally connect repeated experiences with the emotions surrounding them, making small, affectionate rituals surprisingly powerful. That is why emotional connection is rarely built in spectacular moments. It is built through ordinary moments repeated with sincerity until they become extraordinary in memory. Ultimately, meaningful relationships are rarely defined by perfect words. They are defined by consistent emotional experiences that communicate appreciation, respect, warmth, and acceptance. A cute nickname is never a substitute for honesty, kindness, or genuine care. But when those qualities already exist, it can become a beautiful symbol of the bond two people share. The strongest connections are built when both people feel safe to be themselves, understood without constant explanation, and valued for who they truly are. Sometimes that entire feeling can be reflected in one simple word spoken with affection, reminding us that the deepest forms of communication are often the quietest ones. There is something fascinating about the way the human brain reacts to familiarity. Neuroscientists have found that when people repeatedly experience positive emotions in connection with a particular voice, phrase, or expression, the brain begins to anticipate those feelings before the interaction even unfolds. That is why a thoughtful nickname can become emotionally significant over time. It stops functioning as ordinary language and starts becoming an emotional signal. Instead of hearing just a collection of letters, the mind hears acceptance, affection, reassurance, and belonging. This explains why two people can say exactly the same nickname while creating completely different emotional experiences. One person may speak with genuine warmth and attentive presence, while another simply repeats a trendy phrase without emotional investment. The words remain identical, yet the emotional outcome is completely different because people instinctively respond to authenticity far more than performance. Emotional intelligence is never about finding the most impressive expression. It is about choosing words that honestly reflect how someone makes you feel. One of the biggest misconceptions about attraction is that it depends on constant excitement. In reality, healthy emotional attachment grows from consistency rather than intensity. The relationships that endure are usually built on countless ordinary moments that quietly strengthen trust over time. A shared joke remembered months later, a comforting smile after a difficult day, or a gentle nickname spoken during an everyday conversation often carries more emotional weight than dramatic declarations reserved for special occasions. Human beings naturally seek environments where they feel emotionally secure, and language plays an important role in creating that environment. When a nickname is associated with kindness instead of pressure, appreciation instead of expectation, and warmth instead of manipulation, it gradually becomes part of the emotional atmosphere of the relationship. Every repetition reinforces the message that this connection is a place where both people are accepted rather than judged. This is also why timing matters as much as the nickname itself. Even the sweetest expression can lose its meaning if it appears forced or arrives before genuine familiarity has developed. Emotional closeness cannot be rushed because trust follows its own rhythm. People become comfortable when they feel respected, listened to, and understood. As those experiences accumulate, a simple nickname begins to feel natural because it reflects an existing bond instead of trying to create one artificially. The strongest emotional connections are never built through shortcuts. They grow through patience, shared experiences, mutual respect, and countless moments where both people consistently choose understanding over assumption. When a nickname emerges from that foundation, it no longer feels like a strategy. It feels like a reflection of the relationship itself, carrying memories, laughter, comfort, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing someone truly sees you for who you are. The greatest mistake people make is believing that love grows through perfect words. It doesn't. Words may open the door, but consistent actions decide whether anyone stays. A nickname, no matter how charming or affectionate, has no real power if it is not supported by respect, honesty, patience, and genuine care. People are far more perceptive than they appear. They can sense when kindness is authentic and when affection is simply a performance. That is why the strongest relationships are never built on clever language alone. They are built on emotional safety, trust that is earned day after day, and the confidence that someone values you not only during the exciting moments, but also during the ordinary ones. When a simple nickname is spoken with sincerity, it becomes more than a habit. It becomes a reminder that someone feels appreciated, understood, and emotionally secure. But without that sincerity, even the sweetest words become empty echoes that quickly lose their meaning. So if there is one lesson to remember, let it be this: never search for the perfect nickname before becoming the kind of person whose words naturally carry warmth and credibility. Make people feel respected before you try to make them feel special. Listen before you speak. Understand before you try to impress. Let your kindness become predictable, your honesty become unquestionable, and your presence become peaceful rather than exhausting. When your character consistently communicates care, even the simplest affectionate word can leave a lasting emotional impression because it reflects the truth instead of creating an illusion. At the end of the day, people rarely remember every conversation they had with you, but they almost always remember how you made them feel. If your words brought comfort, if your presence created peace, and if your actions matched your promises, then you have already given someone something far more valuable than a cute nickname. You have given them a reason to feel safe, appreciated, and genuinely valued. And in a world where so many people are searching to be understood, that may be the most meaningful gift anyone can ever offer.